I looked around. My heart sank. I was all alone on an island. I built a strong fence using wooden stakes and rope. So I carved a calendar on a wooden post. I hunted goats and birds, and I cooked what I caught. But then he saw it. A footprint. Someone else is here. He was not alone. My name is Robinson Crusoe. I was born in the year 1632, in the city of York, England. My father was from another country, but he moved to England and became a merchant. He made good money and later decided to live in York. My mother's family name was Robinson, so that's how I got my name. Over time, people started calling me Crusoe, and that's what I call myself too. I had two older brothers. One of them was a soldier and died in a battle. I don't know what happened to my other brother. My parents wanted me to stay home and have a good life, but I always dreamed of going on adventures. My father was a wise man. One day, he called me to his room and talked to me seriously. He told me that I had a good life ahead if I stayed home. He said that some people go on dangerous adventures because they are either very rich or very poor, but I was in the middle, and that was the best place to be. He said the happiest people were those who lived simple and peaceful lives. He asked me to stay and study law, but I didn't want to. I only wanted to go to sea. My mother also begged me to stay, but I didn't listen. A year later, while I was in Hull, I met a friend who was going to London on his father's ship. He told me to come with him. I didn't ask my parents for permission. I didn't even tell them. I just left. As soon as the ship left the harbor, a big storm came. The waves were huge, and I got very sick. I was so scared that I promised myself, if I survive, I will go home and never go to sea again. I remembered my father's words and wished I had listened to him. But the next day, the storm was over. The sea was calm and beautiful, and I forgot all about my fear. My friend laughed at me. He said, that wasn't even a real storm. He gave me some punch to drink, and soon I wasn't scared anymore. I forgot my promise and continued my journey. A few days later, another storm came. This time, it was even worse. The captain and sailors were afraid. The ship was sinking. We had to jump into a small boat and row to shore. I was terrified. We finally reached the land safely, but our ship was gone. Everyone told me, this is a sign. You should go home and never go to sea again. But I was too embarrassed to go back to my parents. Instead, I decided to travel to London and look for another adventure. Even after the big storm, I still wanted to travel. I didn't listen to my father. I got on a ship to Africa. At first, I was lucky. I made some money and came back proud. But on my second trip, pirates attacked our ship. They had many guns. We tried to fight, but we lost. They took me to a place called Salvaging. I became a slave. My master was the pirate captain. He made me work in his house and garden. I was very sad. I missed my home. 2 years later, I saw a chance to run away. One day, my master said, go fishing. He didn't come with us. Only Jury, another boy, and I went. I packed food, water, and even guns. Out at sea, I pushed the other man into the water. He tried to come back, but I said, go or I'll shoot. He swam away. Then I asked Jury, will you help me? He smiled and said, I will follow you everywhere. We sailed for many days. One night, we heard wild animals on the beach. We stayed in the boat, shaking with fear. Later, we stopped to get water. Jury found food and no people. We were safe for now. One day, we saw people on shore. They gave us food. Suddenly, a leopard ran into the sea. I shot it with my gun. The people were amazed. They gave us more food and water. Then we saw a ship. Jury shouted, a ship! A ship! It was Portuguese. I waved and fired my gun. The captain saved us. He was kind. He helped me and even paid for our boat. He wanted to buy Yuri too. I said no at first, but he promised to free him later. So I let Yuri go. In Brazil, I started a new life. I worked on a sugar farm. I was safe and peaceful. But after 4 years, I wanted more adventure. So I said yes to one more trip. And that trip changed everything. So I got on a ship even though it was risky. The ship set sail on September 1st, 1659. At first, the weather was nice, but soon a terrible storm hit. The wind howled, the waves crashed, and for 12 days we could do nothing but let the storm push us wherever it wanted. One day, a sailor shouted, "Land!" But before we could get excited, our ship crashed onto a sandbank. The waves slammed against the ship, and we thought we would all die. We had a small boat, so we climbed into it and tried to row to shore. The waves were huge, and suddenly a giant one flipped our boat over. I went underwater and thought I would drown. But after a big wave pushed me forward, I finally felt land under my feet. I ran as fast as I could toward the shore before another wave could drag me back. After getting hit by the waves a few more times, I finally made it to land. I was bruised and tired, but I was alive. I looked around. My ship was broken far out in the water. I had no food, no shelter, and no friends. My heart sank. I was all alone on an island. What would I do next? When I woke up, the storm was gone and the sky was clear. The ship that had crashed was still standing upright in the water. It was not too far from the shore, and I wished I could go to it to get supplies. I walked along the beach and found our boat washed up on land, but there was a big river between me and the boat. So I gave up for now and decided to try reaching the ship instead. At low tide, the water was calm and I could swim close to the ship. It was partly broken, but inside I found dry food, bread, cheese, and goat meat. I also found rum to drink, but I had no boat. How could I carry my things to shore? I found wooden planks and tied them together to make a raft. It was weak at first, so I added more wood to make it stronger. After much hard work, I had a sturdy raft. I loaded it with food, bread, rice, cheese, and dried meat. Tools, saws, an axe, and a hammer. Weapons, 2 guns, pistols, swords, and powder. Rope and nails. I carefully pushed the raft into the sea and floated towards the shore. The tide helped me, but suddenly the raft got stuck on a sandbank. I almost lost everything as the raft tilted. I held on as hard as I could, and luckily, the rising tide lifted it again. Finally, I reached the shore safely with all my supplies. I climbed a hill to see where I was. To my sadness, I saw that I was on an island, all alone. There was no land nearby, only 2 small islands far away. I was scared but also relieved, because there were no wild animals trying to attack me. I saw birds everywhere, but I didn't know which ones were safe to eat. That night, I built a small hut using wood and boxes from the raft. I stacked them around me to keep me safe from animals. I knew the ship would not last long, so I had to take everything I could before it sank. The next day, I swam back and made a second raft. This time, I found more tools, nails, a grindstone, and metal bars, extra guns and bullets, sails, ropes, and clothes. I made several trips to the ship, bringing back more supplies each time. On my final trip, I even found gold and silver coins, but I laughed because money was useless on an island. Then one night, a strong storm came. In the morning, I looked out and saw the ship was gone. Now I needed a safe place to live. I found a little hill with a rock wall on one side. It was a good place because it was high up and safe from floods. It had shade from the hot sun. It had a good view of the ocean in case a ship passed by. It was easy to protect from animals or enemies. I built a strong fence using wooden stakes and rope. Instead of a door, I made a ladder so I could climb in and pull it up behind me. Now I felt safe at night. I also dug a cave in the rock to store food and gunpowder, so it wouldn't get wet. One day I went hunting and saw goats on the island, but they were too fast to catch. I realized that they couldn't see well above them, so I climbed onto a rock and waited. When they came close, I shot them. The goat had a baby, and it followed me all the way home. I wanted to raise it as a pet, but it wouldn't eat. One morning, it lay still, too weak to move. I had no choice. That night, I cried as I ate my only friend. I didn't want to lose track of time, so I carved a calendar on a wooden post. Every day, I made a small mark, and every seventh day, I made a longer mark for Sunday. I also found 3 Bibles on the ship and started reading them. At first, I felt very sad and lonely. I thought, why did this happen to me? But then I reminded myself, I survived while the others did not. I have food, shelter, and tools. There are no wild animals attacking me. The ship brought me everything I need. I told myself I must be thankful. Things could be worse. Now I focused on building a better life on this island. September 30th, 1659. I, Robinson Crusoe, was shipwrecked in a terrible storm. I swam to a strange island. Everyone else on the ship had died. I called this place the Island of Despair. That night, I slept in a tree. I was cold, wet, and very, very scared. I worked hard every day. I went back to the broken ship many times. I brought food, tools, clothes, and even guns. I built a tent, then a cave, then a fence. I made a table, a chair, and shelves. I hunted goats and birds, and I cooked what I caught. I even saved a baby goat. Its leg was broken, so I took care of it. I started to dream. What if I can raise animals for food? One day I saw green plants growing near my wall. Barley and rice. I had not planted them. I was shocked. Did God give this to me? I thought with tears in my eyes. Later I remembered I had thrown old chicken food there. But still I was thankful. I saved the seeds. One day maybe I could grow enough to make bread. Then it happened. Boom! The ground shook. My cave cracked. I thought the earth would swallow me. It was an earthquake. 3 times the ground shook. A huge rock fell near the sea. My heart beat fast. I ran outside the wall and sat on the ground. I was too scared to move. Then came a big storm. Rain, wind, thunder. My tent almost flew away. I ran into the cave, shaking. After the storm, I made a plan. I would build a new, safer camp away from the cliff. But it would take a long time. So I stayed in my old camp a little longer carefully. My axes and tools were dull. I had a grindstone, but no way to turn it. So I made a machine with rope and a wheel. Now I could use my foot to turn the stone. It took a week to build, but it worked. I made a wall. I built a lamp with goat fat and a clay bowl. I caught birds. I saved feathers and meat. I made a shovel from hard wood. It took many days, but I had time. I was hungry. My bread was almost gone. I had only 1 biscuit a day. My body was tired, but I was alive, and I still had hope. One bright morning, Robinson walked along the beach. He had come to gather driftwood, the kind he used to keep his fire burning. The waves were gentle. The sky was clear. Everything felt calm. But then he saw it. In the wet sand, just above the tide line, was something that made his heart stop. A footprint. A single clear footprint. Toes. Heel. Deep in the sand. Fresh. Robinson froze. He looked behind him. Then ahead. There were no other prints. No sound but the waves. No movement but the wind. His own feet began to shake. "This is not mine," he whispered. "No, it's not from me." He stepped back slowly, every part of him filled with fear. "Who has come to my island?" he said aloud, even though no one could hear. He turned and ran faster than he had in years. He pushed through the trees, heart pounding like thunder. He reached his home and locked the gate. Up the ladder, inside his house, his chest heaved with fear. "Someone else is here," he said. "Someone I don't know." That night, sleep would not come. Every owl sounded like danger. Every branch outside sounded like footsteps. He kept his gun close and his eyes open. For days, he stayed hidden. He watched the beach from his lookout. He listened to the wind. He checked his traps, but he saw nothing. No boats, no people, no more footprints. Still, the fear stayed in his chest like a stone. It could be just one man, he said to himself, or a scout, looking before others come. He began to prepare, alone, quietly. He moved some food into his cave. He dug a place to hide. He sharpened every knife. He cleaned every gun. "I must protect my island," he said. Weeks passed. Still nothing. The fear faded but never left, and every morning he checked the sand. Then one day, far in the future, he would meet a man. But not yet. For now, the footprint was all he had. A footprint and a warning. He was not alone.